Sorry, am I audible?
Anshu, you are audible.
Okay, fine. So let's start. So, okay, guys. So in last class we were talking about like what is a list, and then we have discussed many things about a different collection, and then we were talking about like a string manipulation. We have talked about like what are the different functions which is available with respect to a default list. So in this today's session, so again it's a continuation of the last session itself, and we are going to talk about like different kind of a collections over here. Collections in terms of, so list is one kind of a collection that we have discussed, in which we can try to store any kind of a data set, and then we can try to like manipulate a data set in our way. And we have discussed many functions as well, like a append function we have discussed. We were talking about an insert function, we were talking about a split function. So many functions we have discussed with respect to a string and with respect to a list. And apart from that, so like we were talking about some data manipulation as well in terms of a list or in terms of a string. And what we have done is, so we have uploaded assignments for you. So in this particular section, and I think we talked about assignment submission procedure, and we have already uploaded documentation as well, just to update like again. And in this today's session, so I'm going to talk about this particular file. So this file is already available inside your dashboard. You can go over there and you can try to download it, and with me, so you can try to practice. And like I already like recommend people, so try to do as many permutation combination as possible. So in today's section, so coming back to the lecture, so in today's section, so I will be talking about a different kind of a collection again. So one kind of a collection that we have discussed was a list. So we can try to create any kind of a list, I would say, and we can try to store any kind of a data. It could be a nested list, it could be a flattened list, doesn't matter at all. So I can try to store any kind of a data or any amount of a data over here, and it's completely fine. I will be able to iterate through this data. That is one thing. I will be able to manipulate a data in any of this list indexes. That is another thing. And there are a different kind of a inbuilt method which is available. And same goes for string in its own way. Now, so in today's session, I will be talking about a first data structure, I would say, or I can say another kind of a collection, which is nothing but a tuples. So let's try to understand that what is a difference between list and a tuples that you will be able to observe. So whenever you are going to create a list, so always we are going to use this particular bracket, square bracket. So this is basically a list. And whenever you are going to use a normal parenthesis, so this is called as a tuple, I would say. So whenever you have to create a list, so you are going to use a square bracket, and then whenever you have to create another kind of a collection, which is a tuples, so you can try to use this particular parenthesis, and then by using that you will be able to create a tuples. Now there is a difference between list and tuples, although I'm going to show you that list and tuples both are collection, and both will be able to store heterogeneous as well as homogeneous data set. And in list as well as inside a tuple, so I will be able to iterate through it, and I will be able to do a data manipulation again. But there is some differences that you will be able to observe with respect to a list and the tuples that we are going to discuss, that we are going to talk about. And then we will try to understand that in which case you should use a list and in which case you are supposed to use a tuples. So suppose if I'm going to execute it, and then if I'm going to check a type of this T, so you will be able to see that type of this T is nothing but its tuple. And if I'm going to check a type of this L, so this is nothing but a list. Now, so here I can try to store any amount of the data. So 1, 2, 4, 5. And then, so if I will try to print this T, so you will be able to find out that each and every data set is enclosed within a normal parenthesis. So here you will be able to find out a normal parenthesis, whereas in this particular place, in case of a list, you will be able to find out a square bracket. So this is the representation of our tuples, I would say, and this is a representation of a list. Again, data storage wise, tuples can store a homogeneous data. Yes, we are able to see this. So we are able to store all the integer data set inside a tuples. And if I will talk about a list, yes, list does the same thing. Again, if I'll try to talk about a heterogeneous data storage, so maybe I can try to store some floating point number over here. Maybe I can try to store some kind of a complex number in this particular place, and it's completely fine. You will be able to find out that I'm able to store each and every kind of a data set, even in list and even in tuples. There is no problem with that. Then what is the difference? So why we are talking about a tuples? So if we can try to achieve each and everything inside a list itself, then there is no need of talking about a tuples, I would say, in this particular case. So let's try to understand it again. So we talked about a list slicing operation. Again, so if I wanted to access a data from a tuple 0th indexes, I will be able to do that. So as you can see, so inside a tuples, so data gets stored in terms of 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So in case of a indexes, in case of a forward indexes, even in case of a backward indexes, you will be able to find out that. So even in case of a backward indexes, you will be able to find out that it is behaving in a similar way. So if I have to do maybe if I have to print a reverse of the tuples, I will be able to do that. Again, same thing has happened in case of a list. Whenever you're trying to do a data slicing operation, whether it's a list or whether it's a tuples, your notation should not change. Your notation is exactly same. So there is no difference in between our data slicing operations at any point of a time in between a list and the tuple. So again, in this context, list and tuples both represents a similar kind of a entity or similar kind of a functionalities. There is no difference in between. So again, you might be wondering that why we are talking about a tuples, or why people have created a tuples if each and every operations that we have discussed inside a list is been supported by a tuples. Then what is the need of creating this particular tuple collections or tuple data structure? I will talk about that very soon, I would say. So slicing wise, even you will be able to access a data into a similar way. Again, most of the functions that works on a list, so same function is going to work even over here. So let's suppose if I have to find out that how many elements are there inside a tuples, I will be able to know that. Simple length of tuple len function I can use. I can try to pass a tuple variable that we have created, and I will get to know that, okay, so there are in total 8 elements available inside this particular tuples. Now, so let's suppose I'm talking about a list. So this is my list. Now, let's suppose if I'm trying to access a data. So from the 0th indexes, yes, I'm able to do that. There is no problem. And let's suppose at 0th indexes, if I wanted to replace this 4, which is available at 0th indexes of a list. So suppose if I wanted to change these things with KUMAR, and then if I'm going to type like a L again, if I'm going to check that, okay, so what is our data available at 0th indexes after doing this reassignment operation? So you will be able to find out that before doing this reassignment operation, I had 4. Now here you will be able to find out that once after doing a reassignment operation, a data in this particular place had changed. So let's suppose if I'm trying to store a list inside my heap space. Now, so let's suppose this is the variable L, which is going to refer to this location. Now inside this location, so in a beginning, so I had 4 comma 5 comma 6 and then SUDH. So this is the data set which I had before that. Now, so I'm trying to access this data, which is available at list of 0th indexes, and I'm trying to do a reassignment operation. So I'm trying to reassign this value 4 by, or I'm trying to replace this value 4, precisely you can say, by KUMAR. And for sure, in this particular location, it is going to perform a reassignment operation in case of a list if I have created. Now I will try to perform a similar kind of operation even with respect to a tuples, and let's try to understand that whether these operations are allowed or not. So let's try to talk about it. So here I'm going to access a data. So here I'm going to access a tuples T, and I will try to access a element available at 0th indexes. That is completely fine. I can do it even in list. I will be able to do that. I have done these things. Now here on 0th indexes, let's suppose, so there is an element 1 which is available. I will try to replace these things with KUMAR. And Here is a difference that you will be able to observe. So here, when I'm trying to perform a reassignment operation for this particular element, which is available inside a tuple, so I'm trying to replace 1 with KUMAR. So in this case, it is trying to give me an error saying that tuple object does not support item assignment. And that's the difference that you will be able to observe. So here, let's suppose I have created a tuples T. Now, so in this particular place, I have 1, 2, 3, and so on. Now, if I'm trying to replace this element, so tuple of T, so T at point 0. So if I wanted to replace this element with KUMAR, so in this case, you will be able to observe that this operation is not allowed, whereas inside a list, this operation was allowed. So list always supports a item reassignment operation, whereas in case of a tuples, it never supports a item reassignment operation. So there is something called as a mutable element, and there is something called as a immutable element that you will be able to observe in data structure. So what is the meaning of mutable and immutable element? So mutable element are a kind of an element which you will be able to manipulate within the indexes or within a same memory location. So without changing a memory location of that particular data structure. So if you are able to mutate an element inside it, that is called as a mutability or mutable property. So if you will try to go through a list, so list is basically a mutable element. Whereas if I'm talking about a tuples, so tuples are basically a immutable element. So you will not be able to mutate any data set, or you will not be able to mutate any of the indexes which is available inside a tuples. And this is a major difference that you will be able to find out in between list and a tuples. So tuples are basically a immutable element, means you will not be able to do a item reassignment in that particular indexes at any cost. Whereas in case of a list, yes, you will be able to do that. So list, you can mutate it. So simple. So whatever data structure, whatever collection is going to showcase, or it is going to provide you a flexibility of a mutation of the element. So that is called as a mutable element. So list is basically a mutable element, whereas tuples are not a mutable element at all. So remember this differences in between a list and the tuples. Apart from that, so almost like a item slicing operation in terms of accessing a data set. So I was able to do each and every kind of operation, even inside a list or even inside a tuples. There is no differences in between in terms of a slicing operation or data access operation. So it's not a problem. It's completely fine. So tuples basically doesn't support a item reassignment operation. Let's suppose I'm going to talk about like a string. So let's suppose I'm going to create a string SUDH over here. So as we all know that if we are trying to store some data inside a string, so for sure it is going to store a data set inside a different indexes. So find 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So let's suppose if I'm going to occupy this heap space, so SUDH, this is how it is going to store our data. So S is over here. So S is basically a variable and it is trying to refer to this particular location. And here is my string. Now, if I'll try to mutate some element on some of the indexes of this string, so let's try to understand that whether it is going to support this operation or not. So let's suppose if I'm going to access an element which is available at index 1. So as we know that U is available at index 1. So SUDH, out of that U is available at index 1. So if I'm going to execute it, so yes, U is available at index 1. Now suppose if I wanted to replace this U with maybe Y. So what will happen? So again, you will be able to observe that whatever kind of an error that I was trying to receive in case of a tuples, so not supported item assignment. So here you will be able to see that even a string is not supporting an item reassignment operation. So I can say that string is also a immutable entity. I will not be able to mutate any of the indexes which is available inside a string. So this is how you will be able to understand mutability and the immutability property. It's very simple, nothing fancy, I would say. So it's very simple. You will be able to understand a mutability property and immutability property. Now let's suppose I have a tuples over here, And suppose if I wanted to iterate over the tuples by using a for loop, so whether I will be able to do that or not. So for I in t, let's suppose, and print t, and yes, as you can see over here, that this iteration operation is little bit different, I would say. Let's suppose I'm trying to create again a new tuples. I just wanted to show you some scenario over here. So you will be able to find out that if I'm trying to call for I in t, and suppose I have created a list in this particular place in the same situation. So I have created a list, let's suppose, and then if I'm going to write for I in L, and then so if I'm going to write print I, so you will be able to find out some differences over here. So here what has happened is, so when I was trying to iterate over this tuple, so again and again, it is going to tell me, or it is going to give me a similar element, exact all the tuples. But here, in case of a list, it was trying to extract a data one by one, and then it is trying to show me, or then it is trying to give me a data set. And that's again a difference that you will be able to find out in case of a extraction of the data set. But it doesn't mean that I will not be able to extract an individual data set. I will be able to extract a data set just by using a coding skill. Simple, just by writing my own story. So like I always say, write your own story. So just by writing my own story, I will be able to access even an individual data set. So let's try to understand it. So here, maybe what I can do is, I think we talked about a range function. So range function. So range function always try to generate ranges of the data set. So maybe as a range function, so I can try to give total this one. So range -1 in this particular case. And then what I can do is, so I can try to write maybe like t of I, and invalid syntax, not a problem. So here, okay, I have by mistake, I have given the symbol, and here you will be able to find out that yes, I'm able to access a data from my tuples even in this way. So fine, this way or that way, I will be able to access a data set, individual data set, or else directly if I'm trying to iterate over the tuples. So every time it is going to repeat a same number of the element. It is going to repeat a same tuples, or it is going to return me a same tuples in every iteration. So if I'm going to just directly iterate through a tuples, but in this case, what has happened? So I have given basically a range function. So as we have already talked about the range function long back, I think last week itself, we talked about a range function, and we know that. So range, and inside that we have given length of t. Now, what is the length of t? 4. So we are trying to basically, so range function will try to generate what? 0, 1, 2, and 3, as we know. So we are trying to pass t of 0, t of 1, t of 2, t of 3. Simple. So t of 0, 1, 2, 3, and we are able to extract a data set in this particular way. Whereas if I'm trying to use a list, so simple, one by one, it will try to extract a data set without giving indexes, or without accessing a data set through the indexes. So this is the advantage that you will be able to get in case of a list. Whereas you can say that you have to parse a data set through our indexes, then only you will be able to get a data. For loop will not be able to get a data set through the indexes. So that's again a difference that you will be able to observe in between list and in between a tuples. Now again, so here, let's suppose I have a tuple element. I'm going to create a new tab over here. So tuple, like I told you, so like in case of a list, if I'm going to talk about a list operation, so you will be able to find out many functions, and many functions we have already discussed. Like we talked about append operation, extend operation, insert operation, pop operation, remove operation, reverse operation, and sort operation. So almost all the operations, all the inbuilt functions which is available inside a list, we have already discussed about it in a last class itself. Now, so if I'll try to do a same thing here, you will be able to find out only 2 functions. That's it, not more than that. You will be able to find out. One function is a count function, and another function is a index function. You will not be able to find out a function like a append or a insert or extend kind of a function. So these functions are not available inside a tuples, because we know that we will not be able to append anything inside the tuples. We can't do a data manipulation inside, or we can't override our original tuples at all in any cases, I would say. So here, so suppose if I have a tuples, if I wanted to know that what is a total number of 3 which is available, so total number of 3 which is available is equal to 2. So here I have 2 element. This is what count does. Even in case of a list, we have seen that count was having a same kind of a behavior. And even over here, so count is trying to represent a similar kind of behavior. So there is no changes. So count function, whatever count function is available inside a list, or whatever count function is available inside a tuples, both are exactly same. Behavior is exactly same. There is no differences. The only thing is, so list is having so many inbuilt function, whereas tuple is having just 2 inbuilt function. One is a count and another one is a indexes. So again, this is another differences I would like to highlight in front of everyone. So here, let's suppose I'm going to give 10 and 10 is not available inside our tuples, and that's the reason. So you will be able to get count is equal to 0. Now let's suppose I'm going to practice index operation. As we all know from a list that if we are trying to utilize an index operation inside a list, and if data set is not available, in that case it is going to tell me, or it is going to give me that I don't know what you're talking about. So this element is not available inside my structure or inside my collection. Similar kind of error you will be able to receive even in tuple. So even in this case, the function which is available inside a list, index function, behaves in the similar way. Even over here, let's suppose I wanted to search for 3. So you will be able to get that 3 is having location 0. So index means we all know that what index function returns. So index function is going to return the first occurrence of that particular entity. I know that there are a 3 which is occurring twice over here, but it is always going to return a first occurrences. Let's suppose I'm looking for an index of 6. In that case, for sure, index of 6 is equal to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, as simple as that. So index behavior, index function behavior is same inside a tuples, as well as when it comes to a list, it is having the same behavior. So nothing new over here. No need to learn anything new in this particular place. Now, so let's suppose I have created a tuples, and yes, I know that I will not be able to append any kind of a data. Or let's see, let's try to understand in this way. So suppose if I create t is equal to tuples, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. We have created 2, 4, 5, 6. This is t, and then we are going to create t1. So t and t1, this is what we have. And inside a t1, so we have 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Now, so if we are going to perform a concatenation operation, as we know that list and list, if we are going to use as a plus operation, so it is going to concatenate. This is what we have discussed. Now, so here, if I'm going to write t plus t1, now this operation is supported. So if you are going to perform a concatenation operation in between a tuples, so yes, this concatenation operation inside a tuples is allowed, but append operation is not available, insert operation is not available, extend operation is not available, which was available inside a list. Now many people can ask me a question that, okay, so I'm able to append or concatenate to list, but append operation is not available. What is the reason? So basically, the creator of Python or creator of this collection might have thought that, okay, so append operation simply means that you are trying to manipulate indexes, and list follows a property of immutability. So I will not allow this operation inside this one. But here, so in this case, you are trying to create a entirely a new entity, t plus t1, and that's the reason. So it's completely allowed. You're trying to create a new tuples over here. So concatenation operations are allowed, but append operation or insert operation or extend operations are not allowed in case of a tuples. So you can try to do all the permutation combination by yourself, like I used to do, and let me know. So you can try to post your queries in a Q&A section, and my team will try to respond back. And yeah, at the end of the session, so I will for sure try to take some of the live questions, and whatever you will ask me, I'll try to show you in terms of a code. So fine. So here, this operations we are able to perform very easily. There is no problem with that, I would say. So this is, I would say, this is like basic operations that you will be able to perform with respect to tuples in this particular case. Now let's suppose I have created a tuple t, and then inside that, so I have like a 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7. Now, so I wanted to insert a data. I wanted to insert a data on a second location. I told you that insert operation is not available. That is fine. That is true. Insert operation is not available. You can check that up. Insert operation is not available. But still I'm asking you, no, I wanted to insert a data on a second location itself. Now, give me a tuples by inserting a data in a second location in this tuple. Now, what you will do in this case? So the very simple operation that you can do is a data type conversion. So I can try to pass this t inside a list. It's completely fine. So I can try to convert my tuple to a list. So yes, I'm able to convert a same data which I have taken inside a tuples in a form of a list. So I'm able to do that. Now, as we all know that, okay, so suppose if I have to perform the append operation or maybe insert operation on second location, I have to insert some data. So insert operation. So insert on second location, I'm going to insert my name over here. So it's completely fine. Maybe I can try to store these things inside like a L over here. And if I'll try to show you my L, so this is how my L looks like. Okay, so list, and then I try to, okay, now here, insert operation, inline operation will not give you any kind of a solution. So here I can try to write L in this particular place. And yes, in a second location, I'm able to insert a data set. Now what I will do is, so I will try to pass this list inside a tuples, and again I will get back my tuples. So tuples as a function is also available. You can try to pass your list inside a tuples, and then again, so you will be able to get back your tuples. So as you can see over here that I'm able to insert a data. So first of all, I have converted my tuple in a form of list. I have inserted a data, and then again I have reconverted back inside a tuples, and in this way, in a second location, I'm able to insert a data set. So if you have to do a data manipulation, if you have to append something, if you have to insert something, so unless and until you're not going to convert your tuples inside or tuples in a form of a list, you will not be able to perform these operations directly inside a tuple. So these are the restrictions that you should know and you should practice. Now, this is all about a tuple. So we have seen that tuples are basically a immutable entity. Lists are basically a mutable entity. Again, string, if I'll talk about, string is also a immutable entity. So I think we all know a difference between mutability property and a immutability property. So we all are aware about that. It's completely fine. Now the next data set or data structure that we are going to talk about is called as a set. S-E-T, set. Now, so this is something that we will be talking about, set. Now, what is a set? What is the purpose of using set? Now, what is the purpose of using tuples? So in general, people used to give an argument. So I'm just talking about the people mandate over here. So people used to give an argument that whenever you have to store some kind of a data which you don't want anyone to manipulate, so in that case, or override, so in that case, you can try to store your data set, a multiple data set in a tuple. So as we all know that Gmail, Facebook, or wherever, so we try to like give a password. So it always try to store my previous password as well. So whenever I'll try to click on an option called as reset password, and if I'm trying to give some of my old password in a reset password, it never accepts because it try to cross check with each and every password which is available. Now, so if I have to store a password kind of a things where, so no one should be able to manipulate that particular entity. Again, that particular entity. So maybe I can try to go ahead and I can try to use a tuples in this particular place. So wherever you don't want a user to override your original location. Now again, if I'm going to convert it back, and again, if I'm going to convert it back, location will change for sure. The way which I have done over here, in this way, location is going to change. But let's suppose if you wanted to keep a check that no, location should not change. So in that case, you can try to store those kind of entity inside a tuples, and it will be fine. It will be fine, and you will be able to store those kind of a data set inside a tuples, and then so no one will be able to do a manipulation in that particular respective location. So this is what happens in case of a tuples. I think you all are able to understand that the uses of a tuples. Now here, so I'm going to talk about another data type called as set. So let's try to understand that what is set, what is the purpose behind creating a set. So let's suppose if I'm going to like create a variable set is a function. Now inside that, if I'm going to pass maybe 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma something like that, if I'm going to pass 1 comma 1, now if I'm going to execute it, so if I'm going to execute it in this particular place, so you will be able to find out that if I'm going to execute it, this is completely fine. Now here, if I'm going to show you the output, you will be able to find out that I have inserted multiple 1, I have inserted multiple 3, I have inserted multiple, I can say a 4 in my particular set that I have created or collection that I have created. So in this particular list, the list which I have passed over here, so in this list, I have 1 multiple times, I have 3 multiple times, I have 4 multiple times. But when I'm trying to print this variable, I'm able to get a unique variable in this particular place. So here 1 is available only 1 times, 3 is available only 1 times, 2 is available only 1 times. Yeah, even in my original list 2 was available just for once. Now here my 4 is available just for once, my 5 is available just for once. So set is a kind of a data structure which, or kind of a collection you would say precisely, which always try to keep a unique value, or in other way you can say that, so set is a kind of a data structure which try to remove a duplicate by itself. And this is what it is trying to do even in this particular case. Suppose if I'm trying to read an entire Wikipedia, but whenever we try to train some kind of a NLP model, so we always try to, or whenever we try to check some kind of a sentiment, so what we try to do is, so we always look for a kind of a data structure or collection which will be able to remove all the duplicates, so that I will be able to create a encoding, or I will be able to do a enumeration basically. So this is what we do in general. So whenever we try to build a deep learning model, or I can machine learning model for a sentiment analysis, or to perform a different kind of a NLP task. So basically, we always look for a unique data set. So for sure, whenever you will try to churn a data from Wikipedia, or maybe from a Twitter or Facebook, or from anywhere, or maybe from your mail, so you will be able to find out that there will be a repetition of the words, in a form of like a is, a, the, dot, comma, and different kind of a special case characters. You will be able to see the repetition. Now I don't want a repeated character. What I want is, I just want a unique one. In that case, you can try to read line by line each and every data set, and then keep on passing these things inside a set, and you will be able to get a unique data set, because by the time you are going to pass all the data inside a set, so it always try to give you a unique value. So for example, if I'm going to write maybe SUDH and SUDH twice over here, you will be able to find out that no, it is always trying to capture only one. It is trying to capture. In this particular place, it is able to remove a duplicate. What if I'm talking about maybe a case sensitive SUDH, where this time my S is capital? So yes, set is a case sensitive element. So in one of these I have a small case, in another one of this I have a uppercase, and in that case for sure it is going to consider these two entities are as a different entities, and that's the reason. So what we used to do is, so whenever we try to like read a data from a Wikipedia, or maybe from a Twitter or Facebook, or from your Gmail, so we always try to normalize the data set. Means we always try to convert this back into either into upper cases or into a lower cases if we have to remove a duplicate, and then we try to take that normalized data set. So set will always try to give you this kind of a outcome where you will be able to get only and only a unique data set. Again, set supports a heterogeneous data. You can try to give any kind of a data over here. Set is not going to complain. So maybe I'm trying to give this kind of a things. Boolean I have given, floating point I have given, or maybe I can try to give some kind of a complex data set over here. And if I'm going to execute it, you will be able to find out that yes, it is able to give me just a unique element. It is not going to give me a duplicate element in this particular place. So data set wise, you can try to pass any kind of a data set, any kind of a homogeneous or heterogeneous data set, and it is going to remove a duplicate. It is going to give you a unique entity. So that is a property of a set that you will be able to find out in this particular place. Now, one more thing. So here, let's suppose if I wanted to access a data index wise from a set. So let's see whether I will be able to access it or not. So set of 0 data I'm trying to access in this particular case. And here it is trying to tell me that set object is not subscriptable. So I'm not able to subscribe this element which is available at a 0th indexes in a set. So this is something which I'm not able to achieve in this particular case. Now what I will do is, so I will try to write, or I will try to iterate through a loop, and let's see whether I'm able to do that or not. So if I'm trying to iterate these things through a loop, yes, I'm able to do that. Now, so let's suppose if I'm trying to write my 0 in this way, no, even this operation is not valid. Why I have shown you these things is like a set element always try to enclose all the data inside a curly braces. Again, there will be a conflict you are going to observe. So the next collection which I will be talking about is a dictionary, and you will say that no, so dictionary and set, so both of these collections try to like denote an entire collection by using a curly braces. Then what is the difference between these two? I will show you the difference at that point of a time. But as of now, just try to understand that set always try to represent itself in a curly braces, and you will not be able to subscribe a set element by giving a index operation. Now, so let's try to understand that whether I will be able to like do some slicing or not. I think you already know the answer. Yes, I think we already knew the answer, because I was trying to access the data set from a 0th indexes. I was not able to do that. So if I'm trying to do a slicing operation, and for sure I will not be able to do that operation. So, but if I wanted to access a data set one by one out of set, yes, I can do that. And again, remember that whenever you will pass the data set, by the time you will pass a data set inside a set, it will try to take a unique element, and it is going to store just a unique element inside a set variable. Apart from that, so it is not going to store any duplicates. Yes, it's a case sensitive. You can say that. So it's completely fine. Now, so let's suppose if so here I was trying to convert my list. So here is a list which I have passed inside this one. And yes, it is able to convert my data set into a unique element. Let's suppose we talked about tuples. So I will try to create another set. I will try to create another set. And this time I would try to pass maybe a tuples over here. As we all know that this is a representation of a tuple. If I'm trying to pass a tuple over here, if I'm trying to pass a tuple in this particular place, it's completely fine. Even I have a duplicate, like a 6 is occurring twice, 5 is occurring twice, 4 is occurring twice. But when it is trying to give me a final outcome, you will be able to see that it is just trying to give me a unique values or unique data set. So it's completely fine. So even set is going to give you, or set is going to observe, I can say, or set is going to take a tuple as an argument, or set will be able to take a list as an argument. And in both the cases, I would say that it is going to give you a similar kind of a response. So you can try to pass a data in case of a list. You can try to pass a data in case of a tuples. Doesn't matter at all. Now let's suppose I have a D and I wanted to convert these things inside a in form of a list, so that I will be able to subscribe an element index wise. Like we have already seen that I'm not able to subscribe an element. I'm not able to access an element by doing a slicing operation. But let's suppose I have to do it. So in that case, what I will do, I will try to convert these things inside the list. And yes, even that operation is feasible operation. Now, if something is available in this particular form, I can simply like subscribe these things. Like in a reverse direction, I wanted to print, I can do that. I'm able to do that for sure. Or any element which I wanted to subscribe from any of the indexes, there is no problem, there is no issue. I will be able to do that as well. So this is what happens in case of a set operation. So almost every kind of operations that we have performed inside like a list. So let's try to understand that whether I will be able to perform those operations or not. So this is my set and D. Now, if I wanted to look into the method which has been supported by a set variable, so these are the method that you will be able to find out which has been supported by a set or the variable which I have created over here, which is equal to D. Now, let's suppose if I wanted to define maybe a blank set, so maybe I can try to take a variable B, and then so if I'm trying to give a curly braces and if I'm going to check a type, so I wanted to know that what is a type of this B, my system is trying to understand. Now there is a conflict. So I was talking about curly braces again and again and again, but here a data type that you are able to observe is equal to dictionary, but soon your perception will change. So now let's try to insert one thing. So let's try to insert one element 4 over here, and it's a set. So by default, whenever you are going to give a blank, I would say a curly braces, it is going to give you a data type as a dictionary. But I'll talk about dictionary. So just after set, so I'll talk about a dictionary collection as well. Till that point, just wait. So here I'm trying to pass a single element or maybe multiple element. I can pass, there is no problem. And you will be able to observe that if I'm trying to pass even a single element inside a curly braces, it is going to represent a set in this particular place. I can try to like add many elements over here. There is no problem. It's completely fine. And it will be able to accommodate all of those data in a unique way. So for sure, it is going to remove all the duplicates and it is going to keep only a distinct element. That's it. This is what it does. Now, the next thing which I'm going to discuss, which I'm going to talk about is maybe I wanted to add some data. So what I can do is I can try to call a add method and I wanted to add SUDH over here. And yes, I'm able to add some data set inside this one. So this addition operation has been supported, I would say, inside a set. You will be able to add a data by using a add element. Now let's suppose if I wanted to remove some data. So pop. So if I'm going to execute it, so it is going to remove 4. Then again, if I'm going to execute it, it has removed 5. Again, if I'm going to remove it, so it has removed SUDH. Now, if I'm going to print my B, it's blank. It's basically a blank which I'm able to get because I had a data and I have removed it one by one. Now here, so if I'm going to again pop, so D is again a set that we have already taken. And if I wanted to pop at the location, pop from the location 2. Now this operation was valid inside a list. I was able to pop a data. I was able to extract a data set without giving any argument. And in that case, what happens is we all know from a list class that it will always try to pop up a data from a very last indexes in case of a list pop operation. And even it is going to follow exactly a same thing in case of a set when you are going to give no argument over here, when you are not going to pass any kind of a indexes in this particular case. So it is not removing from the last indexes. Observe this. But in case of a list, I was able to pass an argument inside a pop. And even by passing an argument, so I was able to remove a data set. I was able to pop a data set. Now here, no, I'm not able to do that. Here, so let's suppose if I'm going to give index 1, I'm not able to do that. So pop takes no argument, 1 given. This is what a kind of error that you will be able to observe in case of a pop operation with respect to a set. So whenever you're trying to remove a data from the pop, so yes, you will be able to pop it up just like a 1 by 1 out of the entire set, and you will be able to observe that it is trying to remove from the very first till a very last. Now, one more interesting feature that you will be able to observe in case of a set. Suppose if I'm trying to create set S over here, now like 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 3 comma 4 comma 9 comma 1 comma 2 comma 0 comma SUDH and comma, let's suppose KUMAR. Now, if I'm going to execute it and if I'm going to show you this S, you will be able to find out that it is trying to sort an element automatically. So it is going to sort like a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then KUMAR and then SUDH. It is able to perform a sorting operation in this particular place. Now, there is a interesting findings that you will be able to get in case of a set. So if I will try to create a set in this way, and if I'll try to show you a definition, so here is a definition that it tried to give you. Build an unordered collection of the unique element. Now you will claim that no. So in this definition, it's been written that it always builds a unordered collection. Just like build an unordered collection of a unique element. This is what a definition of set says according to Python default documentation. I have not written this. So people who have created a Python, so they have done these things. So it's not by me. If you are getting confused, so this is a default definition which you will be able to find out that sort or set is nothing but. So set is basically a unordered collection. Means there is no ordering that it used to follow. But as per your observation, you will be able to find out that I have given unordered data set and it is trying to give me an ordered collection. In this particular place, it is trying to give me an ordered collection. So let's try to put some more data set over here. Let's try to put some more data set in this particular case. So maybe I can try to give like I would say ABC kind of a thing, ABC kind of a string over here. And maybe I can try to pass some of the special case character as a string. Maybe I can try to pass some kind of list argument inside this one, 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma something. Now let's try to execute it and you will be able to find out that inside a set. So if we have passed inside a curly braces, inside a set, I can pass a list. That is fine. So we have done that. So as you can see over here, so I was able to pass a unique element inside a set as a function. But here I'm dealing with a curly braces. There is a difference. There I have used set as a function and I was trying to pass a list entity. But here, if I'm trying to pass a mixture of the element, this list is not allowed. Now, let's suppose if I'm going to remove it and then if I'm going to show you this data. Now, here you will be able to find out that people who have given a definition, they were right actually. When I have given, so just remember this. So it's just an illusion. You will be able to see that no, it is going to return me a ordered element, but it's not actually an ordered element. It's not actually a sorted element. You will claim that it is going to return a sorted element. There is a different meaning of sort that you will be able to find out. So it never returns a sorted element, I would say. So here again, let's go back to the definition. Build an unordered collection. So unordered collection. Now, so in case of I would say like if I have 3 comma 4 comma 1 comma 2 comma 0 comma something like that, so it is going to give me a ordered collection. It looks like it is not giving me actually, it looks like that it is trying to give me a sorted element. Now what I have done is, so I have introduced few more element over here. I have introduced few more element, this kind of element I have introduced. Now ideally what it should do, so ideally it should, if it is trying to give me a sorted data set, let's just talk about numeric data as of now. So ideally if it would have given me a sorted data, so in this case 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 and then this entity should come into a picture. But here, so it is not giving me that order. You will be able to find out that it is trying to give you some kind of alphanumeric order over here. So 2, so whatever starting with the 2, then 3 4, whatever starting with the 4, then 5, and then whatever starting with the 5. So yes, it is also an order, but again, it's not a sorting. So just by looking into this, people generally try to think that, okay, so it is trying to give me a sorted element. And many people say that set always gives me a sorted element, which is not correct. Sorting is having a different meaning, ascending, descending. So in this way, so set can try to give you, so if set is going to give you some kind of element, that is called as a sorting. So set never returns a sorted data set. Remember this, because many people always gets confused. So just by looking into this data, don't come to the conclusion saying that no, it is trying to give me a sorted data set, because it never gives a sorted data set. Yes, there is some kind of a order you will be able to find out, but it's not a sorted one. Remember this in case of a set. So many people, you must have seen that, like in a programming directly for the sorting operation, they try to pass inside the set and then they try to take as an output, but which is not correct. I would not recommend that. Now here, let's suppose I have a set over here. Now if I'm trying to access an element from the 0th indexes, which is not allowed. Now if I'm trying to iterate inside a for loop for I in s, and maybe I can try to print all of those elements. So if I'm going to do that, so yes, that is allowed. So I will be able to iterate over the set element. These operations are completely feasible, but you will not be able to subscribe an element by using its indexes. So index wise operations are not available inside a set, whereas iteration wise you will be able to perform an iteration. Now again, so set to list, list to set, you will be able to convert very easily. So for example, if I have a list over here, and let's suppose I have a 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 in this particular place, and if I wanted to convert this list into a set, yes, I am able to do that. And let's suppose I'm going to store these things inside a variable s, and this is a variable s that I have. This is the variable s that I have in this particular place. Now if I wanted to convert it to the list, I will be able to do that. So these operations are available, set to list, list to set, vice versa. So these things are possible, these things are available inside this particular operation. So as simple as that. So again, so major purpose, majorly, so we try to use a set in a place where we are looking for a unique element, or wherever I have to filter out a duplicate element. So it's very easy. Read out the entire Wikipedia, keep on passing this data inside a set. So we'll do that. We'll use all of those operations for sure in our project section. So when we'll try to deal with the data set, so just simply pass all the data inside a set, and it is going to give you a unique element. It will try to remove all the duplicates for you. It's very basic and very simple intuitive operations that you will be able to perform in case of a set operation. Now the next entity, a next collection. Collection simply means, I think we talked about a list, I think we talked about a tuples, I think we talked about a set. The next one that we are going to discuss is a dictionary. Now let's try to understand that what is dictionary. So as I have already shown you, if I'm going to give a simple curly braces, and if I'm going to check a type of this one, so type of D, so it is trying to give me dictionary. When I mention one element, in that case it became a set. That is completely fine. So what is dictionary? So you might have heard about a map operation in a different programming language, or you might have used a dictionary itself in your childhood. Oxford Dictionary, I think we all have used Oxford Dictionary, hard copy of that in our childhood. As of now, nowadays, no one is using that hardcopy copy, because we all have like a dictionary in our mobile and in our browser. So yeah, but if you remember from your childhood, so we all have used a dictionary. So in that dictionary, so we generally look for the, like we always look for the word meaning. So we try to search for the word, and then it try to give me a respective meaning. So in dictionary, if you will try to go through a dictionary, original dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, let's suppose I'm talking about, like I don't remember the other publications, my bad. So let's suppose if I'm talking about Oxford Dictionary, so in that case, what happens? So word will be unique. Word will always be unique. Now meaning, so you will be able to find out many synonyms if for one single word itself. So yes, synonyms are possible, means there could be a multiple meaning of a same word, that is possible. But word will always be unique in a entire dictionary. So word meaning, I'm not talking about the meaning part, I'm just talking about the word part. So word will always be unique in your entire dictionary, and that's the reason. So we try to search, we try to go through A, B, C, D, E, F until Z. This is how we try to do a search operation inside our dictionary manually, which we all have done in our childhood. I think you all remember that. So here, or maybe in other languages, you might have heard about a data structure called as map. So what map does? So it try to take a key and I would say a value pair. So similar kind of a collection is available even over here inside a Python, where where you will be able to store a key value kind of a data set. So this kind of operations are feasible. This kind of operations are available in an easiest possible way. And the collection or the data structure which is going to support this kind of operations is called as a dictionary. So let's try to talk about a dictionary, how I will be able to create a dictionary, what and all operations I will be able to perform on top of a dictionary. So I will be talking about, I would say, each and everything one by one, piece by piece. So if I have to create a dictionary, so simple, you can try to use a curly braces. Even for set, you can try to use a curly braces, but here you will be able to find out some kind of a difference. So inside a dictionary, if you are trying to store some data, you should store a data set in a form of a key and value pair. Then only you can say that it's a dictionary element. If you are not trying to store a data inside a curly braces in a key value pair, then by default it will become a set operation. You can try this out inside your system. You can do permutation combination and let me know if you have some new findings. So fine, here what I will do is I can try to create a key value pair. Key could be anything. So let's suppose I'm trying to store key as a name, name. So name name, and name is equal to name. So I wanted to assign name as I would say sudh. So it is completely fine if I'm going to print this d. So yes, here you will be able to find out a key and this one is basically a value. So whenever you are trying to create a key value pair, so you are going to use a separator called as colon in between. This is how it will be able to distinguish between a key. So first element will be key and this one will be a corresponding element will be a value. So fine, I'm able to create a key and a value. There are some constraints that you will be able to observe while creating a key and a value pair. So what is the constraint that you are going to observe while creating a key and a value pair? So let's try to understand this part. So here I'm trying to create maybe a surname in this particular place and a surname wise KUMAR. Let's suppose if I'm trying to key. So this is completely fine. Now, so name is this one, surname is this one. So I have created basically two key value pair in this particular case. So I have created basically like a one and this another one. So I have created two key value pair over here. So key is this one, key is this one, this is value, this is value. So key, value and key, value. I'm able to create it. Now let's suppose, so I'm trying to create again a name as a key. And this time, so I wanted to mention name as XYG. So duplicate keys are not allowed inside a dictionary. But this is a statement, so some of you will try to misunderstood the statement. I'll try to explain you this one. So if I'm trying to execute it, it is not giving me any kind of error. You will be able to find out that name has appeared twice. Now, so this is the differences that you will be able to observe. So like I said, duplicate keys are not allowed. So here I had name as a key. And again, here I have name as a key. Value is SUDH and value is XYZ in this particular place. So yes, it is not going to complain. It is not going to give you any kind of an error. So if you have used a same key, what it will do is, so it will try to override this with the new value. So as you can see, it is not able to show me this SUDH. It is showing me basically a latest entry. So latest entry means hierarchy wise, one after another. So here it is trying to show me a latest entry for a key called as name in this particular case. So yes, duplicates are not allowed if you are trying to replicate, if you're trying to duplicate your keys. So it is going to take a corresponding values, means if key is already available, it is just going to override with the values. So this is what it does in case of a dictionary. Apart from that, so duplicate values are allowed. This is the reason I was trying to give you a reference of Oxford Dictionary. So in that you will be able to find out that words are unique, but it could possible that for the multiple words I have a same value, I have a same meaning. It's completely fine,
That's completely fine that I will be having a same meaning, same synonyms, I would say. So for the multiple words, we have a same meaning. That is completely fine. But word will never be a duplicate in any cases. Same thing has been followed even over here. Now, so if I'm trying to create a key, so let's suppose if I'm trying to keep 3 as a key. So 3 is nothing but it's an integer. So yes, I can try to take key as an integer. Now, so key as an integer is possible. Now let's suppose I'm trying to create a key over here, and maybe I'm trying to use a special case character. So if I'm trying to use like a special case character, so ABC as a value. Now in this case, you will be able to find out that it is not able to understand this part. So a special case can't be a part of your keys. So yes, if you are going to enclose these things within a string, so if I'm going to enclose these things within a string, this operation is possible because now it's not a special case character. Now we have converted these things in a form of a string. So this particular operations are allowed. Now, if I wanted to create a key and if I wanted to keep key as a list, so whether it's allowed or not, let's try to check that up. No, again, this is not allowed. So you can't keep list as a key. This is not allowed. Again, as a tuples, you can't try to keep at a key. Again, as a dictionary itself, you will not be able to keep these things as a key. So while you're trying to create a key and a value pair, so there is certain restriction that you will have to follow, that what in all element I can try to use as a key. So it's very simple. Integer and a string you will be able to use as a key. Even floating point number you will be able to. So you can just try to test it. It's completely fine. I'm able to get that. So these things can be used as a key. Apart from that, so nothing can be used as a key. Now, what about a value part? So let's try to talk about a value. So let's suppose I have created a key. So let's suppose I have created a dictionary. So suppose I'm trying to create a string. Now, value wise, let's suppose if I'm trying to store a list, allowed. This is allowed, I would say. Now, suppose if I wanted to store a nested list, so this is also allowed. Let's suppose if I wanted to, this is the key that I've created. Now let's suppose if I'm trying to create a key 1 in this particular place. So let's see whether these operations are allowed or not. So I wanted to store a data in a form of a tuple. So let's see whether it's allowed or not. So yes, tuples are allowed as a value. So I talked about a key. Now I'm talking about a value. So yes, these tuples are allowed. Now let's suppose if I wanted to keep my data set, as a set. So this is the collection which we have discussed so far so forth. So let's suppose if I'm trying to create a key a 2 over here, and then if I wanted to store a data as a set, yes, these operations are allowed. I'm able to store a data set as a set. So these operations are also allowed. Now let's suppose if I wanted to create a key 3 and I wanted to store a data as a dictionary inside this one. So let's suppose if I wanted to create maybe X as a key and then some string as a value, again Y as a key, so Y as a key over here, and then some value if I wanted to store. So whether I will be able to store or not. So yes, dictionaries are allowed as a value, sets are allowed as a value, tuples are allowed as a value, list or nested lists are allowed as a value. So these are the operations which is feasible. These are the operations which is allowed inside a dictionary. As simple as that. So now we know that what kind of a data I can take for a key, what kind of a data I will be able to use for the values part. So this particular part is completely fine. So I'm able to store a data set inside a dictionary, and then I'm able to store any kind of a variable out of this one. So this is called as a dictionary. So dictionary is having a very simple meaning. So dictionary is a kind of a entity where you will be able to store a data set in a key value pair. Simple. So in a keyword argument, so if you are able to store a data set, that is called as a dictionary. Now, so here, if I'm trying to access a data, So if I have to access a data, so how I will be able to access it? Suppose I wanted to apply a list-based approach where I try to give our indexes and then I use to access a data set. So let's see whether it's possible or not. It's not possible. So it is trying to tell me, it is trying to give me a key error. Key error simply means that it is not able to understand the key which I have given. Means it is not able to understand any indexes over here because dictionary never store a data in a form of a indexes. It always stores a data in a form of a key value pair. Now what I will do in this case, so I can try to give a key over here, as we know that this is the key name and this is the corresponding value which is available for this particular key. So now if I'm going to execute, yes, I'm able to get the data. So for this key, this is the value it is trying to give it to you. For this key, this is the value it is trying to give it to you. It's very simple. So yes, I'm able to get a data set. It's not a big deal. But here, index is not going to work. Here, key is going to work. And with the help of key, you will be able to access it. Let's suppose I wanted to access 345. How I will be able to access? So it is going to return me what? It is going to return me list. Now, so list of this element. So this entire nested list is available at what indexes? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at fifth indexes. So this is available. So I can try to access a fifth index data set. So fifth index is giving me this one. Now, if I have to access 345, I can try to give 0 over here. And yes, I'm able to access 345. That is completely fine. So I will be able to access any kind of element. I don't have any kind of issue with that. If I have a list as a value, same goes for a tuple as a value. Same will not go for a set because as we have seen that set never supports index wise operation, but I can extract it. I can extract the data. That is completely fine. So even if it doesn't support that, but I will be able to extract a data by using a loop condition. And let's suppose if I have a dictionary inside a dictionary, this one. Now I wanted to access this FDS value. So what I should do in this case? I can try to write this one. So D of first of all key 3. So D of key 3 is going to return me what? So KY3, and it is going to return me another dictionary. If you wanted to recheck and if you wanted to get a confirmation, so you can try to check with this one. So you can try to do a TYPE of this one, and then so you can try to check it's a dictionary basically. Now, so if I have to access a data, like a FDS, how I will be able to do that? So in case of a list, I know how to parse a data just with the help of indexes. But again, if it is going to return a dictionary, again, I will try to follow a same approach. So I can try to give a key of key over here. So maybe I can try to give Y. And as you can see, I'm able to get this particular data set. So again, it's very easy. So whenever you wanted to access a data out of this dictionary, it's not a big deal at all. I can do that. I can try to access any kind of a data at any point of time, and I can try to manipulate the data set, and then I can store it back even inside a dictionary. That is completely fine, and that is completely feasible and allowed. Now, the next operation that I will be talking about is, so whether for loop is supported or not. So we have seen that in case of a set, in case of a tuple, in case of a list. So yes, I was able to extract a data set. I was able to one by one slice or maybe iterate a data set from a set, from a tuples, from a list, or even from the string. I was able to do that. Now same thing I will try to apply even over here. So if I'll try to show you for I in what? I in D. Now do one thing. So try to print print and print what? Print I. Now, when you are trying to do that, so I was expecting that it is going to give me key value kind of a pair. But no, it is not trying to give me key value kind of a pair. So basically it is trying to give me a list of all the keys. And this is what happens in case of a for loop whenever you will try to apply on a dictionary. Let's suppose I wanted to get all the values over here. What I can do in this place? So what I can do is I can simply try to write find D of I. So D of I, now give me the values. Now here you will be able to find out that yes, I'm able to extract all the values, and by default if you will try to apply a for loop, so it is going to give you all the list of each and every keys which is available, and that's the difference you will be able to observe. And comparison wise, so in between a list or in between a set, in between a tuples, in between a dictionary, so always try to make a comparison. It's very good, and it will always like help you out to remember something for a very long period. So just make sure, and again I always say that nothing, you don't have to remember anything, simple, practice it. Just try to do a permutation combination, think of each and every combination which is possible, compare it. Let's try to check that you have done this operation in a list, whether the same operation is working over here or not. And that's a best way of learning and best way of exploring a programming, because no one can teach you programming unless and until you're not going to do a permutation combination. Now I will talk about like default methods. Few of the default method I would like to talk about. So here you will be able to find out that there is a method called as keys. Now, so if I'm going to call key as a method, you will be able to find out a list of all the keys. It's completely fine. List of all the keys you will be able to find out. Now let's suppose I wanted to extract a value. So yes, I was able to extract the values. There won't be any issue. But let's suppose even in this way, I wanted to extract a value. So I can write for I in this d dot keys, because I know that it is going to return me a list. So do one thing. So d of I, just give me that and just try to print d of I. Print my like d of I over here. And both are this operation, the previous one and this one is giving me same thing, like a d dot keys I have used over here, because we know that d dot keys is going to return a list of all the keys which is available inside a dictionary. So that is completely fine. I'm able to get that. Now here again, another function I would like to show you. So values, if you are going to execute it, you will be able to get a list of all the values. So there is a dictionary.keys, dictionary.values, both of these functions are available, and you will be able to get these particular things in this particular place. As simple as that. So this is what happens. So again, if I have to iterate through all the like values which has been given over here, I can do that. There is no problem. Suppose if I just wanted to extract a data set from a tuple, I don't want to parse any of this data which is available over here. So I just wanted to parse a data from a tuple. So maybe my requirement is to extract this data, only this data, right? Only this data, and then so try to store this tuple inside the list. So whether I will be able to do this or not. So let's see. So I'm going to create one empty list over here. Let's suppose M is an empty list which I have created in this particular place. And then for I in, I can try to write like a d dot values over here. So that is completely fine. And then if I'm trying to check if I is, or if type of I is equal to tuple. So in this case, do one thing. So try to extract a data set. So start extracting a data set and start appending a data set. So for j in I, so just try to do m dot append, and append what? For j in I, append j. Now if I'm going to execute it, and then if I'm going to print m, it's fine. So whatever data is available inside this tuple, so I'm just trying to extract tuple. M is giving me just a tuple in this particular place, nothing else it is trying to give me. So, and again, my requirement was to extract only a tuple element and then try to store all of those things inside some of the list. I have done that. I have done my job in this particular place. So like I said, just depends upon my requirement, just depends upon my like a thought process. I can write a same code in another 10 way as well, and that is like a completely fine. You can even try this out in your way. So don't try to follow my way. I always say these things to the people, that don't try to follow my way. Just try to build your own thoughts. So like how in a best possible way you will be able to extract a data, and then you will be able to manipulate it. And don't follow me. Simple. Don't follow me in my programming style. So you can try to build your own. That's the best practice. Now, so similarly, I can try to do these things for any element, even for this one. If you'll ask me like, okay, fine, so extract all the just a key pair or a value pair, and then like try to do this manipulation, that manipulation, I can do that. There's no problem. There's no issue with that. So it's completely fine. So this is how like you will be able to perform all of those operations inside a dictionary. Now let's suppose I have a dictionary D over here, as you can see. Now what I want to do is, so I wanted to add a new key value pair inside a dictionary. That is completely fine. I can use an add method, and by doing that I can try to add it, or in a simplest possible way, how I will be able to add a new data set inside a dictionary. So let's try to understand it. Let's try to understand it over here. So here, what I will do is I will try to create maybe a new key. So let's suppose new key is a key 5. Key 5 is not available. So key 5, and then I wanted to assign a value. So this is my new data. Simple. And then done. So here, if I'm again going to print this one, so you will be able to find out that it has created a new key for me. So it's very simple. Just try to call your dictionary and then try to give some new keys over there and then assign some kind of a data. Data wise, you can try to assign anything, doesn't matter at all. So whatever data that you are looking for, so you can try to assign those data set, and it's completely fine. It is going to accommodate those data. Now let's suppose if I'm trying to give d of key 1. So key 1, I know that key 1 is already available. Or let's suppose if I'm trying to give a key 2, I know that key 2 is already available. I know that. Now if I'm going to reassign, so some kind of a string in this particular place, if I'm going to execute it and if I'm going to show you again d, so what happens in this case? Like I told you, key should not be a duplicate. If you are trying to do that, it just override. It never gives you any kind of exceptions, any kind of error. It just try to override with the new values, and it is completely fine. So it is trying to override. It is trying to override with the new values in this particular place. And yes, I'm able to get a key 2 value as a new value which I have assigned, and it has forgotten the previous value. So this is how you will be able to do item reassignment operation, or maybe like you can try to do a key overriding operation in this particular case. As simple as that. So these are like certain operations you will be able to perform by yourself, and it is just a permutation combination, I would say. It just depends upon me and you and my thoughts. That's it, nothing else. And fine. So this is pretty much about dictionary, I would say. And yes, so I can try to create a new dictionary. I will be able to access a new data set from the dictionary. That is also possible. And now let's talk about a dictionary comprehension operation. So what is a dictionary comprehension operation? So most of the programming part that I have done over here, so you will be able to find out a similar kind of a code in the notebook that I've shared. You will be able to find out that these codes are not available, but yes, similar kind of a code is already available, because when I try to give a live classes, so for sure I whatever whatever comes in my mind at that point of a time, so I used to write that code, as simple as that. But for your references, so whatever I'm teaching, whatever each and every topic, so each and every topics you will be able to find out. Even an example, another example of each and every topics you will be able to find out in the notebook which I have uploaded inside the material. And even you will be able to find out the complete documentation, write-ups, and you will be able to find out a proper comment part as well inside each and every tab. So this is how we have prepared a documentation for you, so that even if you will not be able to recall something, you can go through the documentation reference. And in live class, yeah, for sure I can't maintain the documentation part, so that is that's just for your reference. So you can try to practice in case if you are not able to follow up in the live session. Now fine, I'm able to create a dictionary. Now let's talk about a dictionary comprehension. So as we have seen that there was a list comprehension. So in case of a list comprehension, so I was able to perform a multi-line task into a single line. And again, if you, I think you all have received assignments. In that assignment, so we have given you a mini list comprehension based example, and we have asked you to solve it in your assignments. So again, the assignment, second assignment, I think that we are going to upload. So many like a problem statement we have given you over there with respect to a comprehension operation. You have to build a logic again. So with a multiple for loop and all those things we have done in that particular assignment. Now here, suppose if I wanted to create a dictionary comprehension, or let's suppose I wanted to create a dictionary. So my requirement is very simple. I wanted to create a dictionary where, so key should be a integer and the value should be the square of the integer. This is what I want. So I think my requirement is very clear. So I wanted to create a dictionary. So I'll just try to give you examples. So I wanted to create a dictionary. So where I want a key value, but key should be a integer and a value should be its square. So it's a square, as you can see. So key value, key value, key value, key value, and so on. So 10 such data we have to create, means 10 such key and value pair we have to create. That's my requirement. So let's try to fulfill this requirement. So how I will be able to fulfill this requirement? So in a layman way, in our way, so how I will be able to create a requirement. So here I will try to create a blank dictionary, as you can see. And what I will do is, so for I in range of range of 10, and then, so range of 10 means I'm just trying to create, or I'm just trying to generate a 10 integer over here, nothing else. And then what I'm trying to do is, so d of, so as we have already discussed, that if I have to add a new key, simple, I'll just try to give a key pair. So as a key, so I can try to give a integer I itself over here, and as a value, so what I can do is, so I can try to give I of a square. So as we all know that double static is nothing but its notation of the square. Single static means multiplication, double static means square, or not a square, I would say power basically. So if I'm going to give like a 3 over here, means power is equal to 3. If I'm going to give 2 over here, means power is equal to 2 in this particular place. Now if I'll try to execute it, and then if I'll try to print D, you will be able to find out that it has created a 10 data. It has created a 10 data set, key value pair, right? Key value pair is there in this particular place, and key is nothing but all the integer, value is nothing but all the square. So this is what happened in case of this particular operation. So we are able to observe it. That is completely fine. So we are able to perform this kind of operation, or else let's suppose I have a list in this particular place, and list I have, maybe I have given you a SUDH, and then if I have given you maybe a KUMAR, and then maybe I have given you XYG over here, XYG over here, and maybe I have given you ABC. So this is the data set which I have created. ABC I have given you. Now my requirement is to create a dictionary, a key value pair, so that in a key, so it will be able to store a lowercase, means original data, and as a value it should be able to store a uppercase. I can do that as well, not a problem. So what I can do is I can try to write like a for I in, so for I in, I would say L. So just do one thing. So D of I is equal to I dot upper. Now executed. Now if I'm going to print D, my bad, small d, caps is on. Okay, as you can see that it has created a key value pair. That is completely fine. And as a key, so I have all the data in original format, and as a value, so I have all those things into a upper cases. So it's very simple. I'm just trying to create a key value pair just based on the same logic which I have written over here. So if I have to create a new key value pair, simple in this way. So I can pass a key, I can pass a value, similar way. So I'm just trying to pass a key, I'm passing a value, I'm passing a key, I'm trying to pass a values. Now, so like now, so let's suppose I wanted to create a key value pair. So in a key, I wanted to store a name, and then so in a value, so I wanted to check, I wanted to store true and false. True and false of what? So check means is upper. Is upper is a function that we have already discussed. So here it is trying to take key as a data, and then value as a is upper or is lower. So Sudh, is it in uppercase? False. Kumar, false. XYG, false. ABC, false. So likewise, there can be like many permutation combination, many things which is possible. Now I was talking about a list comprehension. So instead of writing a 3 line of a code or 4 line of a code over here, I have to achieve a same thing in single line. And again, it's very simple. I will be able to achieve it. So I don't want to write this 4 line of a code. So I just don't want to write this 4 line of a code or whatever 3 line of a code that I've written over here. I don't want to do that. I wanted to perform this operation just in single line by using a comprehension operation. I can do that as well. Simple. What I can do is, so I can write like a for. So let's suppose I'm trying to achieve this operation. Where I have to generate a key value pair, where key should be the integer and the value should be the square of it. So I can do that. So I can try to write like a for I in a range, range over here, and maybe I can try to put 10 over here in this particular place, and then whatever it is going to return. So I can write like a, okay, So do this. So I colon, and then I of square. Done. So instead of writing a multi-line call, or instead of writing a multi-line like a code, just in a single line, so just by using a list comprehension, same thing I have written, nothing fancy. So whatever I have written over here, so whatever I have written in this particular place, I'm just trying to write the same thing, even over here, right? So operation wise, there is no differences which I'm trying to make. The only thing is, so I'm just trying to optimize my number of line over here. So instead of writing multiple lines, so I'm just trying to write a single line and into a single line. So I'm able to achieve a similar kind of a functionalities without any if and but. So this is what happens. This is called as a dictionary comprehension. So any number of operations. So even this operation, you can try this out from your end. So even this operation I will be able to achieve in a single line itself. I don't have to write even a 3-line of code. So without writing a multi-line code in a single line, but yes, if and both of these operations is having a same complexity, and both of these operations are trying to do a same kind of a thing. So if you are not comfortable with a comprehension operation, whether it's a list or it's a tuple or it's a dictionary, so even tuples comprehensions are possible. So if you are not comfortable with those things, don't worry about it. Simple. Go ahead with your old style of coding, this one, and you can try to achieve it. So there is no differences in terms of a complexity, time complexity or space complexity you are going to make. The only thing is like a few more line of code you have to write, and which will be understandable. Because when we are going to write a complex dictionary comprehension, many of you are going to confuse. So I've just given you a simple example over here of a dictionary comprehension. In an assignment, so I have mentioned a couple of difficult assignments. So you can try to do that from your end, and without asking us for the solution, because we already have all the solutions with us. So for us, it will just take another second of time, 1 second of time to give you a solution. But I'll recommend you to try to achieve those things by yourself, without taking any help from even from the Google, I would say. So don't try to take help from anywhere. And lastly, if you will not try to do that, so for sure at the end of your entire class, so I will upload assignments, because we are going to give you many practice set and many assignments in every classes, including today's class. So fine, this is what you will be able to achieve in case of a dictionary comprehension operation. So we talked about a couple of things in today's class. So far so forth. So the next topic I'm going to pick up is a function. So how you can create your own function. But before that, let's try to recap. So today's class, I was talking about tuples. I talked about a set. I was talked about a dictionary. Now tuples, notation wise this one, set, notation wise this one, dictionary, notation wise this one, but key value pair. So this is the notation that you will be able to find out. We have done a multiple operations with respect to a tuples, with respect to a set, with respect to a dictionary. And yes, we are able to achieve many things by using that. And that is completely fine. We have done many permutation combinations as well. And yes, it's completely fine. So just try to practice it along with me. Now, the next thing which I'm going to talk about is a function. Now, what is function? And what is the use of creating a function? And what in all kind of a function I will be able to create? So first of all, let's try to understand that particular part, that what is function and how I can try to create my own basic function. So here we will try to create a function, and as we have already seen that we were using a print function, we have used a length function, we have used a range function, we have used many functions so far so forth, and all those functions are basically a inbuilt function. Even in list we have seen a pop function, we have seen an append operation, we have seen index operation, we have seen a count operation. Even for strings, so two upper, two lower, or the find operation we have seen is upper, is lower, and all those things we have seen in case of a string. Those are the inbuilt function which is available. Even in case of a dictionary, so pop operation is there, and again like a key operation, value operation, item operation is also there. I just forgot to mention these things. Item Yeah. So item always returns to the tuples of the list of the key value pair. This is what item does. Simple. So tuple of list of all the key and value. So key and a value in this way. So fine. So we have seen this kind of function. So these kind of functions are basically a inbuilt function, which is available inside almost everywhere. Now let's up. So why people used to create a function? So people used to create a function to increase the reusability. Suppose if I have asked you some task. So if I have asked you that, okay, fine, so do one thing, go to a particular website and then try to scrap all the data set, try to beautify all the data set, and finally try to store all the data inside a databases. If I'll ask you these things. Now, so you can try to write one function for the connectivity. You will try to write one function for the data manipulation. You will try to write one data set, one function for like storing a data inside a DB, some kind of a DB, SQL or NoSQL. That is completely fine. So if I'll ask a same task to some other person to achieve, so again that person will try to write a function in their own way, and again so it will be a time consuming for both of the person. So what if I will try to create a function, and then if I have already created something, so you don't have to create it, simple, go and use it. So basically function is been used to increase the reusability. So someone has already created some function for us, like a range function, someone has created it. Item function, someone has created it. Is upper function, someone has created it. So we are just trying to utilize those function on a need basis. So similarly, you can try to create your own function, and then so someone can try to import it, and you can try to package it as well. So you can try to package it as well. So you can try to create your own function for some kind of operations, and then another person will be able to utilize those functions directly without any if and but, and without investing a time to create their own function to achieve the same task. So this is operations that you will be able to find out. And again, apart from that, so in Python is called as a scripting programming languages, plus it's a OOPS programming language which supports OOPS, plus it is called as a functional programming language. You can try to represent each and everything in a form of a function if you are going to use a Python. So let's try to understand it. Like when I say that Python is a functional programming language, I think in a later stage you will try to understand, you will be able to understand it at this point of a time. So you are on a beginning level, so maybe it will be a bit difficult for you to understand this particular line, that why I'm saying that Python is a functional programming language, and everything you can try to represent in term of in a form of a function. You will try to understand it in a later stage. First of all, so let's try to learn that how I can create my own simple function. So let's suppose I'm going to create my function. So the first keyword that you are supposed to use is called as a def. Def is nothing but definition. Now in other language, so people who are coming from some other language, so maybe Java, Scala, or maybe C, C++. So in those languages, first of all, we try to give a return type, and then we try to give a function name. Then we try to pass an argument, and then we try to write a definition of a function, means what function is going to do, and then we try to return, or we try to simply leave it as a simple variable. So this is the nomenclature generally we try to follow in other languages, people who are coming from the other languages. In Python, so again, if I'll talk about Java or some other languages, so there is a keyword called as void. So when we have to create a non-return type function, so generally we try to use a keyword called as void. Otherwise, I can return anything. In other languages, don't get confused. So if you're not aware about something like this, you're not supposed to worry about that, because in Python, so we are not going to follow any such things at all. So these things doesn't even exist inside a Python. So let's try to understand that how we can create a function. It's very easy to create your own function inside a Python. So here I'm going to use a keyword. I'm going to start a keyword called as def, because we know that Python will be able to, so we know that Python will be able to understand a data type by itself. So you're not supposed to say Python that what kind of a data set, data type which I'm trying to pass. No, there is no need of that. It's completely fine. So here, what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to give a def. Def is basically a keyword. Simply means a full form of this thing is definition. So I'm trying to write a definition of a functions, as you will be able to find out, and then I can write a function name. So let's suppose if I'm going to write a function as a test. Test is just a name which I have given. You can give your name as well. You can give my name as well. It will not complain. It's completely fine. So I have given test over here. And then, so let's suppose if I'm trying to execute it, it's an error basically, as you can see in my screen. So it's an error which I'm able to get. Now, why it is going me error? So because I forgot this one. But again, if I'm going to execute this one, it is going to give me error for sure. So see, again, it's error because I have given this keyword. That is fine. I have given a function name. That is completely fine. I have given open and close parenthesis. That is completely fine. I have given column as well. That is fine. But it is expecting some kind of a body. Body means some kind of a definition of the function. You have created a function, that is fine. But why you have created a function? If you are not going to give any kind of a definition over here, so it will always expect a definitions inside its body of this particular function. So you are supposed to give a body. Let's suppose I don't want to give a body of the function. I have just given a name. I wanted to create an abstract function, as you can see over here. So I have just given a like a body of the name in this I have just given a name in this particular place, but I don't want to give a body. In that case, I can try to use a special keyword called as pass, which is not available in any other languages. So now if I'm going to execute, no complaint. That's completely fine. If I'm going to call this time, so if I'm going to call a function means like I was trying to call a range. So if you will try to observe, I was trying to call a range. Someone has written a range function for me. Again, so here you will be able to find out that if I'm not providing any argument, it is giving me error. If I can provide 1, 2 or 3 argument, it will work fine. So 4. Now someone has created this range function and someone has written this range function in such a way that you can try to create a 1 argument, or you can try to create a 2 argument, or try to give a 3 argument. It will work, and accordingly it will try to generate a data set, means it will return something to you. So in case of this one, in case of this 4, which I have written over here, so it is trying to consider that, okay, fine. So I'm looking for a data set from 1 to 4 with the step size is equal to 1. And for sure, it is going to give me a data. So if I'm going to enclose these things within a list, or if I'm going to iterate over to it, it will give me a data. In the similar way, I have created a function over here and I have not passed any argument, means I'm creating a function with a 0 argument. I can give a 0 argument, I can give a 2 argument, 3 argument, 100 argument, doesn't matter at all, depends upon me, my use cases. Simple. I have given an argument. Now I have not written a body. Body means I'm not saying that what this function, what you are supposed to do. I'm not giving any instruction for that. So it's completely fine. Now if I'm going to call this function, just like we call a range function, because someone has written that. So here I can just try to call this function, and whatever signatures of the argument that we are having over here, same signature we are supposed to follow. So if we have only a 0 argument, we should not pass any argument, as simple as that. So here it's completely fine. So I'm trying to pass a 0 argument over here, and it is not going to return me anything. It is not going to give me anything. Now if I try to check that what is the type that it is trying to return, typ type, because data type Python understands automatically. So type wise none type it is trying to return, as you can see, because for sure there is nothing to return. I would say nothing to return. I've just written a pass. Pass means I'm not giving you definition. Simple. This is the meaning of pass. So you are expecting a body from me, like you are expecting a definition or a body over here, and I will not give you. Simple. But still I want you to execute. So in that case, give a pass. Simple. So wherever, even in for loop. So suppose if I have written for I in, let's suppose a range, RANG range, and let's suppose I have written 8, and if I'll try to execute it, it will give me error. Now let's suppose I don't want to write anything in body. I can try to write pass. There is no issue. This is the meaning of pass. Pass is a keyword which you can use even over here. So wherever you don't want to give a body, simple, try to give a pass over there, and then it will work fine for you. Similar way, so I'm trying to use over here as a pass because I don't want to give a body of the function, and it's completely working fine for me. Just in case a data type wise, it is trying to return me none type. And for sure, I'm not returning anything. I'm not returning integer, list, tuples, or anything over here. So why it should give me like any kind of a final outcome. Now what I will do is, so I will try to give some kind of a definition over here. Let's observe these things. You will be able to find out some strange things. So here I'm just trying to create some test function in this particular place, and then so print what? So this is my first function. Simple. And then if I'm going to call this function, so you will be able to find out that whatever print which I have written over here, so whatever things I have written over here, so it is trying to return me a same thing. So it doesn't matter. So how many operations I'm going to write in this particular place, it will be able to return something. Suppose if I wanted to create some local variable over here. So let's suppose like a is equal to 1. These are the local variable. The scope of these variables are just within the function. Or then I wanted to write like, okay, so give me a plus b in this particular case, and it's completely fine. It is trying to give me a plus b is equal to 7 in this particular case. 6 plus 1 is equal to 7 in this particular case. So it's completely fine. I'm able to get a return type in this example. Now, so I have written a body. Last time I have not written a body. I have given a pass keyword. As you can see over here, this time I have given a body. So when I'm trying to call this function with the same signature should always be same. So with the same signature, so in this case, whatever like operation I'm trying to perform, it is going to return all those things. Now let's observe some strange things over here. And these things are very much important as a beginner. So you should know these things in in as much possible way, like in as better way as possible, I would say. Because many people know how to create a function, but they don't know how to play with the functions, I would say. And if you are able to understand these entire things, any code that you will look into, any Python code, you will be able to read out all those Python code just like a very good novel, very good and interesting novels, I would say, or articles. Just like an articles, you will be able to read out a code. So if you know each and every bits and pieces of these operations which I will be talking about, whatever I have discussed from that is going to help you out to understand others code. So that I will try to show you all the aspects. So here again, try to observe these things. Type wise. So here type is equal to none type. It is trying to show. Now, so suppose if I have written print, and suppose if I have written some string inside this one, so maybe like xyg over here, and now if I'll try to check a type of a print in this particular place, so here you will be able to find out that it's giving me none type. So print always returns a none type. Remember it. Now, why I'm discussing these things, let's try to understand. So here, what I will do is I will just try to return a plus b. Simple. I will try to return a plus b. Now, so now a plus b is returning 7. Now, let's suppose, so it has returned 7. It's completely fine. Now, if I'll ask you to perform an addition operation, so whatever it is returning 7. 7 plus 1. If I have to perform, if I will ask you to do this operation, this is a problem that you are going to face. And many people are not able to debug this problem as a beginner. Many people think that, okay, so this operation is completely fine. Like test function is returning 7, or else let's try to store these things inside the variable, maybe b variable, right? And then try to print b is equal to 7. B is equal to 7. I'm able to see it over here. Now, so if I'll try to do a b plus 1, this operation should be allowed in general because b is equal to 7. And you will be wondering that no, so 7 is basically an integer. This is what in a first place you are going to wonder. But this is not a case. Here you have returned a data inside a print statement, and by default print always try to give you a none type. It's a return type of a print function itself. You can't do anything. The creator of Python has already written a print function, and it by default it returns none type itself. So you can't do anything. Simple. Now, so with none type data, if you will try to perform any kind of a primitive operation, you will not be able to perform any kind of primitive operation. Like I'm trying to add 1 over here, but I'm not able to do that because if I'll try to check a data type, it looks like that it is returning me 7. 7 is an integer, but it's not an integer. I will show you. So this is basically a none type, and that's a reason it was giving you an issue when you was trying to add something with a none type. So if it is returning you some kind of a data set as a none type, or maybe if you have written a print and if you are trying to store that as a final value somewhere, you will not be able to perform any kind of a data manipulation operation, any kind of a primitive operation. So remember it and practice it parallelly. So you will not be able to perform. Now I wanted to create a function which is going to return me something, and on top of that, so I will be able to perform some primitive operation if I'm looking for that kind of function. Because in case of a print, I have seen the issue. So in case of a print, it is going to return me a none type. I'm able to see that, I'm able to observe that, and I'm not able to perform a primitive operation. So if I'm going to get a data from the print, it just looks like just an illusion that it is an integer, but it's not an integer actually. Or else what I can do is, so I can try to return maybe SUDH over here. It looks like that this is a string, but this is not a string, this is an untype. You will not be able to perform any kind of a concatenation operation, string manipulation operation, or any function which is available inside a string, like a 2 upper, 2 lower, is alphanumeric, or anything. You won't be able to perform those operations. As simple as that. Try this out if you are going to return something from the print. So now how you will be able to perform those operations? So now let's try to understand it. So here I will try to create again another function. So def. Now I have seen that if I'm going to return something from the print, and then if I'm trying to store it somewhere, I will not be able to perform any further operations on that one. So I wanted to create again a function called as test over here, and then suppose a is equal to 4 and then b is equal to maybe 9. I wanted to create, and then what I want is, so I wanted to like get some data where I will be able to perform some manipulation. I can try to write like a return what? Return a plus b. So return a plus b over here. Now it's completely fine. Now if I'm going to call a test function, I'm able to get 13 over here. Now if I try to check type, so ty p, so type, if I'm going to check, it is going to give me integer, because return always returns as it is data type. Whatever data type you have, it is going to just return it. Simple. And like we all know that Python can understand a data type by itself, so you are not even supposed to worry about a data type, that what kind of a data type you should use or you are going to use, you are not going to use, like another language. So you should not define what kind of a data type I'm going to use. Just depends upon the data manipulation. It is going to consider a data type by itself, and then finally you will be able to perform a data manipulation. As simple as that. Simple. Now, so here I have created a test function. I check the data type. That is completely fine. Now let's suppose inside a variable n, if I wanted to store the return of these things, return of this test, yes, I can do that. And now if I'm going to do n plus maybe a 90, it's completely fine, because my n was having a data type as an integer, and with that, yes, I will be able to add it. I will be able to perform all the integer manipulation operation. If it is going to return a string, suppose if it is going to return, so my name is SUDH Kumar. Now, so it's completely fine. I will be able to like I can do that. So this kind of operations is always possible, I would say. So return, always try to consider by default data type that you are going to return. So now this is the function which I have created without any kind of an argument. Means, so I was trying to hard code this value. And then based on that, maybe I was trying to write a plus b over here. So a plus b in this particular case, and then it is going to return something out of it. So n plus 90, something like that, nothing. So it is going to return in this particular place. Now, so let's suppose I wanted to pass these things at the time of function call, because if you remember a range function, so range function, so default argument wise, if you will try to check, there is no default argument, but you can try to pass these things. You can try to pass in a runtime. So suppose if I'm going to call this function, I can try to pass 10. It simply means that, so just try to create a data set, because starting from 0 till this number minus 1, so always excludes the upper bound. So here, so someone has like written a function in such a way that it can take a data at the runtime whenever we are going to call the function. In a similar way, I can try to create a function which will try to look for the data in a runtime. So again, def and then test I'm going to create. I can try to give that, okay, fine. So I will try to pass a comma b. this kind of variable I will try to pass. I don't know what is A, what is B as of now. So I'm saying that, okay, fine, I can give you two argument. I can give you two argument over there. So in a runtime, and then what you have to do is you can give me A plus B over here. So you can give me A plus B, a very basic and simple function I have written over here, where it will take two argument, return addition of that, or maybe concatenation of that. So now in this case, if I'm going to call my test function, it is going to give me issue, because now it is expecting me this, it is expecting this signature. So like I told you, so whenever you are trying to write a function, so always make sure that at the time of call, so you should maintain the signature. If you're not maintaining the signature, it is going to give you an issue. Now, so here what I will do is, so I will try to pass, I can try to pass basically data. It's completely fine. I have passed A and B. Let's suppose if I'm just going to pass one, again there will be an issue. It will say that missing one required positional argument, B. So yes, I'm able to find out A, but I'm not able to find out your B in this particular case. So I have to give like A and B, both, and A plus B is equal to 9. So this is what I will be able to observe in this case. Now let's suppose again, if I'm going to call TEST over here and then SUDH, and then I can try to pass KUMAR. So basically, I have not defined, I never said, just like another language. In other language, so whenever we try to give an argument, we try to define the data type, that no, even at the time of function call, I will pass only this kind of a data. But here I have not defined it. If you remember, so I have not defined it. I have just given any variable. You can give mn whatever you want. A, B is not a constant which I'm trying to take over here. Remember it. You can give my name, your name in place of A and B. It will work into a similar way. As simple as that. Now here, so I'm trying to call, and A is equal to SUDH and B is equal to KUMAR. So as you can see over here, so A is equal to SUDH and B is equal to KUMAR. I'm trying to pass, as we know that what happens with respect to a string when we are trying to use a plus operator in between. So in this case, it is going to concatenate it, and then finally you will be able to get your data. So this is what happens, I would say, in case of a functions, and you will be able to achieve each and everything. Now, if you will try to check, you can try to store it and store inside any other variable. So again, so you will be able to perform all the primitive operations. Suppose I wanted to do like y is a string. So if you will try to check a type of y, so y is nothing but this time string. Last time, when I have called these things, suppose I'm trying to store these things inside X, right? Now, if I'll try to check a type of X over here, so type of X is equal to integer this time. So depends upon the return. It automatically understands that, okay, so what is the data type which I'm looking for? So here it's a string. So now if I wanted to do that y dot upper, so it will be able to convert these things into uppercase, and you will be able to perform a manipulation operation. Now, apart from that, so this is something that we have done. I can try to pass maybe a TEST over here, and then I can try to pass a list argument 3, 4, 5, 6, and then so two argument I have to pass, A and B. So I can try to pass maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it is going to do the list concatenation operation. As simple as that. You can try to pass a tuples dictionary. If that operation is supported, yes, it will try to perform that operation. That is completely fine. So this is what happens in case of function. Now, so as of now, it is trying to return me only one entity. It could also possible that I can try to get a multiple returns of the data. So you can create a function which can take an argument and it can return a multiple things. Suppose I wanted to write a function which should return me addition as well as multiplication operation. So let's try to see how I can do that. So def test, again I can try to pass maybe A comma B over here, and then so RETURN, and then I wanted to return maybe A plus B comma A into B. So whatever argument, whatever data I'm going to pass, so what I want is it should return two things. It should return plus operation, plus it should return a multiplication operation. So now I'm going to call test, and I'm going to pass 4, 5. As you can see over here, so I have passed what? I have passed 4, 5. So the first one is nothing but it's returning me 9. So 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. And second one was a multiplication operation. So it is returning me 20. So these 2 return, 3 return, 100 returns, you can do that even over here in this particular case. And it's very easy. It's very simple. Suppose I wanted to store this data. So 9 means A plus B return into one variable and then another into, so 20 into some other variable. I can do that as well. So what I can do is So I can try to pass maybe y comma x over here is equal to this one. Now if I'll try to call y, you will be able to get 9. If I'll try to call x, you will be able to get 20. So what I have done is, I know that it is going to return two argument. It is going to return. Now I wanted to capture both of these things into separate variable, because if I'm just going to call this function, it is going to return me tuples. I know what is tuples. We all know what is tuples. So it is going to return tuples. Now, if I wanted to store this thing separately into a different variable, so how I will be able to do that? So again, I can just try to do in this way. Again, so this reminds you one thing. So suppose if I wanted to create a multiple variable just in a single line. Suppose if I have to create a multiple variable, so a is equal to 1, b is equal to maybe 2 we used to create, and then c is equal to 9, and then d is equal to maybe like sudh. So this is the variable that we used to create. Now let's suppose I wanted to create all the variables just in the single line. How I can do that? So I can do it this way: a comma b comma c comma d is equal to what? So is equal to, so maybe 5 comma 6 comma 7 comma 8, or I have not given d over here, right? So fine in sudh. It's completely fine. So it will just try to do a one-to-one mapping. So a is equal to what? A is equal to 5, b is equal to 6, c is equal to 7, and d is equal to sudh. So I can try to create a multiple variable. So instead of writing a 4 line of a code, I can write single line of code, and I can try to assign a multiple variable and its corresponding values as well. So here, if I have to access d, so I can try to access d. See, so d is equal to sudh. I told you, and yes, I'm able to access it. If I wanted to access c, yes, I can access it. Basically, so multiple variable I can try to create into a single line itself, and this is the procedure. It just try to follow the sequences and the mapping. So simple one-to-one mapping, it try to follow. Now same thing happens when I was talking about this one. It is going to return two values. Now, so you can try to give a two variable over here, and then you can capture it. Let's suppose I wanted to capture just addition. I don't want to capture a second one. In that case, I can try to give a placeholder, and it's completely fine. So it is completely fine, I would say. So even in this case, so I have not given a second variable name, and I'm able to access, so just a y over here, and for the second variable I have given just a placeholder, or vice versa. You can give a placeholder even over there, and then you will be able to capture it. So this is another aspect you will be able to get in terms of a function, I would say. So here, so I'm trying to return a two value, just like this one, just like creating a simple variable. There's nothing fancy over here, nothing new in this particular place. You will be able to find out. Now the another part is, so range function. If I'm talking about a reference, so let's talk about a print function. So print function, which is an inbuilt function, print, which is an inbuilt function. So if you will do shift and tab if you're trying to do, so there are some of the arguments. These are the arguments. So some of the argument which is given inside the print function, and you will be able to, so like a separator, it try to take separator, ends with 9, system.out, so it will always try to do the memory management, or it will try to flush the memory. You can say flush false 2 is equal to simple system.out, always try to give you output inside the console, and then flush means simple. If you are going to make it as a true, it will try to call the garbage collection immediately. This is the meaning of this argument. Again, no need to remember all those things, simple. So here you will be able to find out that in a print there are some argument for which people have already defined the value. And even when I'm going to call those function, when I'm going to call this print function, so I can try to replace this value with my values. So suppose if I wanted to create a function in which it should take a default value, and when I wanted to override it, I should be able to override it, just like a print statement. If I wanted to create, I can do that as well, and it's very easy. So def, and then again test, and then what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a variable A, right? And wanted to create a variable B, but as a variable B, I wanted to pass sudh. So it's a default argument which I have passed. So maybe I can looking for the return return over here, and then I'm looking for A plus B. In this particular place, A plus B I'm looking for. So fine, I can execute it. Then if I'm going to call this function tst test, so as we know that it's a concatenation operation, in case of a concatenation we should pass two string. So I can try to pass maybe xyg, right? And as you can see, I have created a function with a two argument, but for one argument I have already given a default value. So for any argument I can give a default value, that is completely fine. So here, if I have already given a default value for some argument, I'm not supposed to pass that value. So unless and until I don't want. So I can try to pass just XYG. It will try to take B is equal to SUDH, perform the concatenation operation, give you the final result. Or else, let's suppose like a print statement. So people have already given a default value of a separator. Even in the split, we have seen that default value is equal to white space. But we were able to give /t, we were able to give a hashtag, we were able to give the @, and we were able to split the data. This is what we have seen. So there was a default value, but I was able to override it. In a similar way, default value is given as a, for the second argument, it's a SUDH. But let's suppose I wanted to override it. I can do that. It's very simple. So I can try to override it. Likewise, I can try to create any number of argument. And even if I wanted to take an input from the system.input, or maybe if I wanted to take an input from the console, even that kind of operations are possible, and I will be able to do that. So these are the things that you should practice. Again, if you will try to observe, I have not discussed much. I've just discussed a small thing over here. I was just trying to show all the permutation, combination, all the aspects, because this is where people get confused a lot, that what I should do, what I have done over here. And suppose someone has written a code and you are not able to understand it, right? So to get those understanding, you should know each and every bit of the permutation combination. So this is a basic of a function. Your function class has not completed yet. I will talk more about a function. I will talk about even a generator function, how with the help of yield operator, as I have already mentioned in your slide. If you look into your slide that we have already shared with you, the notebook file. So I will talk about a generator function as well. Generator means what? Range is a generator function. Now, as of now, for sure, you don't know what is generator. And I'm saying that, I'm claiming that, okay, range is a generator function, RANGE. Range generates a data. So it always gives you a object. It is not giving me data. It's giving me object. It will be able to give me a data if I'll try to pass these things inside the list, or maybe if I'll try to iterate over to it. So this is called as a generator function, which generates a data set. So if I wanted to create such a function by myself, so how I will be able to create such kind of a function by myself, I'll try to talk about that. So even you will be able to create a range kind of function, this generator kind of a function, which will not return a data, which will return an object. And you will be able to extract a data by calling these things inside some iterable object like a list, or iterator, some kind of a loop or something. So in the next class, we'll try to talk about like a iterator, iterable, generator, and we'll see some more example in case of a function. So we'll try to create a few of like I would say a complex function we will try to create, and then we will try to discuss about some MapReduce and filter function. And then if time allows, then I'll start talking about the classes and object, like a OOPS programming concept: class, object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic extension, polymorphism, and constructor, overloading, overriding, all sort of things, which comes and again abstraction, private, public, and protected. So I will be talking about all those things if time allows. Otherwise, next to next class. So fine, guys. It's my recommendation to all of you. Just try to practice it. Coding is nothing. It just depends upon like our practice. So I'm done with my today's class. Those who is not having any doubt, they can drop off. And I think you are able to get all the response from our support team in a Q&A session. And people who have joined through YouTube, so I think they are able to get answer as well. So yeah. Now, so I'm going to take a couple of questions from your live session itself. So you can try to tell me your concern, and I will try to resolve all those doubts, and one by one, guys, because I can remove immediately if anyone is trying to create even a smallest possible disturbance. I don't tolerate those activities. Yeah, go ahead with the question, one by one, please.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I would like to know the here you have just explained the function. If you are, I want to know the local and global variable. Sometimes we do it in a function, describe it.
So see what happens is, okay, fine. So suppose if I'm trying to create a is equal to 1, right? So a is equal to 1 if I'm trying to create, and then suppose if I'm trying to create a function called as def is equal to test. Now, so inside this test, I've created a variable b, right? And b is equal to 6, right? And then I'm trying to return what over here? So I'm trying to return, so return, sometimes. So here what I wanted to do, a plus b, right? So can I say that a is outside of the function, right?
Yeah.
A is outside the function and b is
Yeah.
something which is inside, right? Now if I'm going to
Yeah.
execute it and if I'm going to call test, so can I say that test is able to call a as well as b? That's the reason it is able to return me a plus b, right?
Yeah.
Agree? Now let's suppose this variable is like a df, right? Okay, I will just take some other number so that you will not be able to f. Let's suppose so a plus f, because b I have already used it. That's the reason. So let's suppose f is what? F is available inside the function, right? Now if I'll try to print f over here, are you able to get some data? Yes or no?
No.
Why you're not able to get the data? Because f I have declared where? Inside a function.
The function.
Right? So f is what? F is a local. Local to whom? Local to my function. So f is a local variable. But if I'll try to call my a, can I say I will be able to get my data?
Yes.
So a is what? A is my global value. That's the difference between global and local. Simple. Now next one.
Hello. Sudhanshu Abhinav this side.
One by one. Abhinav. Yeah, Abhinav, go ahead.
Hi Sudhanshu. So my question was,
I was going through the
Abhinav, please.
dictionary.
Abhinav.
Yeah. So in dictionary, if we will fetch out the values like whatever dot values or whatever dot keys, so it is returning a type of dict
Dictionary,
underscore keys or dict underscore
I know that.
values.
Yeah, but finally it treated as a
So
dict underscore object wise, wrapper wise, I would say it's a dict underscore key of a list. Actually it returns. That's the reason. So I was able to iterate over to it and I was able to treat those object as a list. So it's, yeah, it returned this underscore key, it returned this underscore value. That is true. So, but it's a list kind of a dict object. It's a list kind of a dict key and dict value object.
Okay, so we can treat it as a list and do all sort of list operations.
Data type wise, if you'll check, right, data type wise, it will not give you a list, right? But it's been treated as a, I would say, right? So data type you'll try to check. No, it's not a same, not a list, I would say. But yeah, so you will be able to iterate over to it. And
so going forward, will it be making some significance or
no, it is not going to make any kind of a significance. Simple. So if you have to extract the data set, if you have to iterate over to it, simple. So just like a dict dot keys and then try to extract the data set and just behave, it will behave like a list. So if you know all the operations with respect to list, so similar operation you will be able to perform even over here without learning any new things.
Hi Sudhanshu, Rohit here.
Yeah, go ahead, Rohit.
Yeah, my doubt is I tried to override the inbuilt functions like range and type. Okay. So I'm able to do that in Python. So my question is it for something used? The code will use that. That's why it is happening, or some other reason?
So overriding in terms of what? What you have done in terms of overriding?
Means def. Suppose write def range, and I can put anything in the pass. Def range.
Okay.
Range, and inside that I made it pass. No, I've not given any argument in that.
Okay, so simply you are saying that, okay, fine.
Now if I'm using a range function, that it is not happening.
Yeah, for sure. Like you have overridden, so basically it will try to understand this range function in this particular place because it's a local to this one, right? And you will observe that after some time, this same thing is going to give you some issue. For sure, while solving assignments, right? So this question, many of you are going to raise that I have taken a inbuilt keyword and it is not able to give me a proper data set. I'm not able to manipulate a data set properly. So just try to do something, solve all the assignments. I think you are going to observe this kind of issue. We always like get this kind of a query. Yeah, but yes, you will be able to override it. It's completely fine. You have defined your own function and then you have given pass. So now it is behaving like your function, right? And again, at the same point of a time, so it is trying to highlight this range as a green color. Means it's a keyword that you have already used. But if you'll try to use like a def and any other function test, so it will not highlight as a green color, right? So yes, it is able to understand that you have used a keyword and you are going to face a problem. So there is something called as a deep copy and swallow copy concept which will come in between, and by that, so it is going to give you some kind of an issue in case of a data manipulation, and you will observe it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a quick touch upon a placeholder that x comma underscore equal to
nothing. So I can try to create like a comma, maybe I can try to return two data. So test, I would say, and I can try to
People who is trying to unmute themselves unnecessary, right? So don't try to unmute themselves because I'm trying to return maybe a list over here. So 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm trying to return maybe a dictionary in this particular place. So dictionary, maybe a key, and then like value. I always prefer to take a different example when people ask a question. I don't take a same example in general, so that you will get a different dimension as well. So yeah, it is now. Can I say that it is going to return 3 things: SUDH, and then this list, and then this key? Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I wanted to capture only this one. I don't want to capture SUDH and the argument, this SUDH and list, right? So what I can do is I can try to call a test. So can I? What will happen if I'm going to call test? What is the return? What is the return type? Quick. Return type.
It's a tuple.
Simple. Yes, tuple. Right? We have already shown that. We have already seen these things. It is going to return tuples. Now, suppose if I just wanted to return this one, what I should do is I can try to write a placeholder maybe. So underscore, comma, underscore. So I don't want these 2 value in any variable. Placeholder means you are not storing anything into any variable, and it will basically, I'll show you, like it is going to store the first value. So you I have given now. So placeholder for a first one, placeholder for second one I have given, and here I have given you. Now if I'm going to execute it now, so if I'll try to call you over here, as you can see, if I'm going to call you over here, it is returning me what? It is returning me, suppose you said that, okay, no, I don't want a list, I don't want your name, give me just a dictionary, right? So in that case, I have not created any other variable. Unnecessary, why I would create another name, right? So what I will do is I will just give a name for this one, and in this way I'm able to access only a third variable. As simple as that, right? And then if you are going to call this placeholder, so if I'm going to call underscore, so you will be able to find out that it is going to, like if I created a multiple, then always it will try to store this in a first place of the placeholder, then again it will try to override placeholder with this one, the latest element. Simple. So placeholder is going to give you the latest element in this particular case. But yeah, like this is the placeholder. Making sense?
Hello.
Hi, Sudhanshu.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
In today class, during tuples, you said that it is a difference with list iterating wise. But I can see that iterating list and iterating tuple, it makes same.
Same query.
So T, I would say, so T is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
No, why you are trying to print T? We have to print I, right?
Okay. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, my bad. So yeah, it will give you like this one for sure. So if you're trying to print T, so I was just trying to print a T, so that's the reason. So it was giving me repeatedly this time. Okay. That's true. That's correct. Yes.
And one more doubt is, I have a list, nested list. For example, I have to remove particular element from the nested list.
Okay.
So if it contains only one repeated value, I'm able to delete it. I mean remove it. But it contains the multiple repeated value, I am unable to delete it.
I think we have discussed a similar kind of example into a last class, right? So if you can go through that example, I think you will be able to get that.
No,
so it's
no. For example, you have take one. 5 is repeated, right? You take one more list. You take one more list inside list.
Sir, I think we have already done that, and I think some of you have already asked a question even
inside. Can you take one more 5 in nested list? One more 5.
Yeah, that is fine.
Yeah. Now we try to remove 5.
So the nested one, from the nested one is 5 to remove it.
No,
right?
From everywhere, from entire list, I have to remove 5 from entire.
Okay. From the entire list, we have to remove this one. So I think we have already discussed this kind of a query, and we were able to achieve this particular part as well. So fine, I can try to create a list over here in this particular case, and then for I in, I can say, so for I in L, and then so if data, so if I is equal to is equal to 5. So what I will do is, so I will try to do L dot remove. So L dot remove and remove what? 5. So fine, in this way. So it will try to remove this entire data set from the first one. So if I'll try to print L, so yeah, the first one is gone. Now, so if I wanted to remove these things from the first one, so yes, in that case, you can write if list, if type of I is equal to list in this particular case, then I dot remove, I would say, so remove what? Remove 5 in this case. So fine, 1 is gone and 2 5 is there, right? So 1 5 is gone in this particular case, and okay, so let's not remove, and then for type I, so for I in or for J, so we can try to and do J dot, okay, so what J in I, so I dot remove dot what, so remove J in I, so I dot remove I in J from here, so 5
one more if condition.
So okay, so fine, in this is this one, so if I is equal to 5, so I is equal to 5, so I is equal to this one, and no, so J in I, if J is equal to 5, so remove J in 5. Got it?
Yeah. Thank you.
So when I have already discussed about something and when I have already written a code even in last class, so I'm not able to understand that why you are asking me to write the same code again instead of looking into the recordings, right? So just try to make sure that you go through the recordings, whatever I have discussed, try to practice it by yourself. And even I have seen many queries related to the same thing in my Skype live session as well. So just try to do it, right? It's not that tough or easy, I would say. The only thing is out of laziness, you're not trying to even practice it. So fine, for my learning it's fine, but for your learning it's not fine at all. So fine, guys, I think we have already discussed about each and everything. So just try to practice it by yourself and try to do it by yourself. And yeah, let me know in case of any other concern or in case of any other queries. With that, thank you so much, and again see you inside in the next class. With that, have a great night and a great day ahead for people who have joined from India and abroad. Thank you so much.